So, anxiety about your physique these days, do you have any worries about
No.
You were curious to see.
Yeah.
And that curiosity led you to all the benefits.
Yeah.
Feel free to eye Terri's legs up. She might even get her guns out for you in a bit. Right, so today we have the lovely Terri with us. Probably many of you watching or listening already know who Terri is, but for those of you who don't, Terri joined TeamYo almost 5 years ago. So Terri started with me at age roughly 58 and is now 62, which is partly why I've invited her to talk today, because I think that although a lot of the women, in TeamYo are slightly younger than you, they find you immensely inspirational.
Which is nice.
Podcast today, we are specifically talking about recompositioning, body composition. They're two different terms. Body composition refers to how much body fat you have on your body versus how much muscle mass you have. And recompositioning is a term used whereby you are learning how to build muscle and drop body fat simultaneously without actually dieting. You're following a nutrition plan, but you're not in a calorie deficit, which is why it's rare to find somebody who has stuck with something long enough to actually achieve recomposition. And this is something I'm going to be coaching from now on, is recompositioning rather than calorie deficits and hard dieting. So that's why we're making this today.
Yeah.
Feel free to eye Terri's legs up. She might even get her guns out for you in a bit. But yeah, Terri loves to she loves to get her body out. And
well, it's a nice feeling compared to what it did look like for a while.
There you go. She's very proud.
Well, it's never looked like this.
No. So you're very proud of what you've
I
achieved.
am. Because it's taken work.
It's taken a lot of work.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to go ahead and Terri and I are going to chat about how she's managed to achieve recompositioning over the last few years. And really the first question is, we're going to go right back to before you even joined me and talk about all the problems you were having, no matter how small or big they were, before you joined TeamYo.
Right, well, I'd moved house, which was very stressful in the first place, and then we were at a house where it was a very sunny summer, 2018, and we had a garden that you could go straight out and sit in. So it would be like, one of the things would be that, it's a nice day, we'll have a glass of wine. It's a Tuesday, and it wasn't like a massive amount every night, but I think it did get more often, other than just weekends. I couldn't keep up my running, or originally I was walking. I couldn't keep that up the way I did, because I couldn't just take the children to school and then go off running. At that point I had to take my son to school in the car and come back, and by the time I got back I didn't want to go out for a run. It was only because one thing led to another that I would do the running. So my exercise had gone, and I was just eating things like cheese on toast at lunch, which I hadn't really done before, packet of crisps, and I'm only small, so it doesn't take much. And I was 30 pound overweight then, really, and I'd seen one of the teachers at my son's school. I asked her who she was training with, because I thought, I've just got to do something. I've got to do something that I can do every day easily. And she gave me your name and said that you were going to start something at 9 o'clock in the morning, and I thought,
that's right,
I'll contact you.
That was the new weight training class.
Yeah.
So what's your exercise history? Have you got any conditioning in your body before, in your younger years?
I used to cycle a lot and dance, and then I actually when I put on some weight before and wasn't exercising, I decided I would walk every day, and I would walk about 4 miles every day, every morning. Then I tried, because I thought I had to run, I've tried to eventually get back to that, because I used to be quite a good runner when I was in my 20s. And so eventually I learned how to do that again, though it was never easy, but I did it.
Mm-hmm.
And then that was dropped, as I said, when I moved. So I'd always done something
Sure.
to move my body.
Yeah. So you've
Got
not
rid of
always been lean, and we've got a body that has done some exercise, which is not the case for everybody, but not to an athletic level or anything like that. So, yeah, so that's really important, because your baseline is relevant when it comes to changing your physique.
I hadn't ever kept on weight for any huge amount of time. If I'd done it, it had gone up, and then I would try and do something about it. It's the maintaining of it that I'd keep it at that level for some time, and then I'd find it would, it might be a year, a couple of years, and then it would go up again, and I'd have to do something about it.
And have you ever done any coaching in that time? Did you ever do? No. So you just did it yourself?
No, I did. I went to Weight Watchers. And though it worked for me because I was concentrated, you don't know what to do afterwards.
Sure.
I had no idea what to do afterwards. So then you thought you had to be at this level with your food forever.
Yeah. Sure. So this is I'm so happy you said that. Yeah. So we've got this problem where people conventionally diet, exit a dieting phase without any guidance, and think that you've got to eat those low calories that you've been eating on the diet forever, which of course you can't sustain.
Yeah.
And then you can't sustain that, and you don't have any other plans, so then you just go back to how you were eating before, regain.
It was like a stab in the dark, really, and sometimes it worked, and then it didn't.
So that's great. So we got a couple of they weren't huge upsets or problems, but we had a significant gain in weight,
and that never makes me feel good.
Yeah.
Because I love my clothes. Yeah. I didn't really realise I'd gone up, because I was just wearing gym stuff. I would wear my running stuff, and that went with me. So it didn't really matter, because I think you said to me, what size are you? And I'm thinking, well, I don't actually know, because if I can't get in my clothes, I've not bought anything else really. Do you know what I mean? So it was like putting your head in the sand, because that's the thing about being on a diet and knowing what you're eating, and then not being on the diet. You would have a bit, and then you would go through that thing of, I've done it now, I'll have the rest of that. And whereas when you know, it's so much easier.
Right.
But because you don't know, it's like putting your head in the sand. You just think, I'll just have it.
Yeah. So this is why recomposition is a long-term commitment, which a lot of people don't like the sound of that, because they think it means restricting for a long time, but actually we're going to talk about how it offers you quite a lot of freedom.
So much.
Yeah, and that you've experienced that firsthand. And when you started training, you were really unsure of the lifting, so you were in a group of women and you felt really unsure about what you were doing when you were lifting. So it's not like you just walked in and just went, I'm not intimidated by this, and you just cracked on. It wasn't like that.
No. But I enjoyed it. But I think I've learned so much over the time that what I was probably doing to start with, I possibly wasn't engaging with it either.
You went through the motions.
Yeah, I think some of it was the motions, because it's so, you sort of just trying to do it, aren't you? So you can continue to learn the whole time.
That's the wonderful thing about weight training, isn't it?
And when you're doing it at home, you always point all the things out. I think, you're watching me. Because I'm like, because I need to And I like that.
Yeah.
Even now, I like that.
Good.
Because it does make you think, oh yeah, I must think of that when I'm squatting, or, you know, I must think of that, and I must put my elbows back, or I need to make sure my head's in line. All those things, I still like being
prompted.
Yeah. Because sometimes you think, oh yeah, I'm not thinking about that.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's my job, isn't it? To make sure you're in it as much as you possibly can. Yeah, it's easy to do. It's easy.
She's here.
I mean, in person or online, that happens.
Yeah.
There's no exceptions.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then, you lost the weight over 2 courses, with a little break in between, and you're obviously it was really visible that you'd lost body fat. Now, but you still looked, now when I look back at your photos now, when they come up on my phone, you still looked relatively soft.
Yeah.
So there's that look of the muscle mass hadn't come up yet.
No, not to that extent. Because I and like I've said in one of my posts, I was really pleased what I'd achieved, but actually I can't tell you how pleased I am now that I just kept going.
So there's only 2 ways you can recomposition a body, and I think a lot of people don't understand this. There's the method that bodybuilders use, which is you diet down to strip body fat off.
Yeah.
But in the act of doing so, you lose a certain amount of muscle mass, which as middle-aged women we just don't want to be risking. And this is the methods I've used up till now, because people are so hell-bent on wanting to diet.
Yeah.
And then you eat at maintenance or just above maintenance, which means then your body's able to regenerate the muscle mass and you're able to build it.
Yeah.
That's one method. The other method is recompositioning, which is what we're talking about today, whereby you don't eat in a calorie deficit, you're not dieting per se, you are tracking your nutrition and you're making sure that you're eating enough, both in calories and nutrients, to be able to regenerate or build more muscle.
Yeah.
So we managed to get your muscle mass up to a baseline.
Yeah.
And then it's come up, I would say, above baseline.
Yeah. I did one dieting phase, and that's all I've done.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I've either been going up,
calories,
or in my calories, or I've been at maintenance. Most of it has been at maintenance. And when I had gone up and gained some weight to hopefully put on some more muscle, I then did one diet phase.
Part of your progress, and it wasn't something you intended to do, it just happened naturally, was that you chose to stop drinking. It's not something I tell people to do.
Yeah.
But on Team Transform, I do say just have 1 drink a week.
Yeah.
Some people say I'd rather just have none. And quite often that results in people stopping entirely.
Yeah.
That's happened quite a lot. And you were one of them.
Yeah. Well, I did dry January because I started at the end of January. 3 weeks beforehand, I'd stopped drinking, and I'd stopped taking syrup in my coffee. So I possibly was heavier than the 30 pounds I've lost.
Oh, I see. So before you started with
Before I started, I stopped those 2 things.
So you would have lost quite a lot of water weight by doing that.
So I had at least 3 weeks of neither of those things, and then because it is a taste bud thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to have at the weekends. I didn't want to have a glass of wine. I wanted to know what my nutrition was, and if I was going to spend my calories, I wanted it to be on different foods.
Right, so a glass of wine is roughly 250 calories.
And I didn't want to do that. And so I just didn't. And then I just thought afterwards, I was really probably 6 months in, I thought I'd quite like to maybe see what it's like to do a year. And then when the year came around, I just thought, well, I don't see the point really. Mm-hmm. And so I just haven't. And because the difference in just everything, to have it completely gone and then not really think about it, it's good.
Yeah.
You know, it's
I mean, your skin and
Yeah.
the brightness of you.
yeah,
You know, I'm always, every time I see a picture of you, I just think, God, you know, you just look so vibrant.
yeah, and I felt that.
Yeah.
I could feel that, and I just thought, and I'd read up more about alcohol as well, and sort of the fact that it was a poison for my body, or it would start need to process that before it would process my food. I just thought, well, I just wanted to see, just like with
Sure.
the eating the food and building the muscle, I just wanted to see where it would go. If I just kept doing it, what would happen?
And I think
So I wanted
what
to
you
leave
just
that
said
out.
there, it can't be skipped over, because a lot of people will hear what you've just said and think nothing of it. But actually what you've just said there, I just want to see what my body can do
Yeah.
if I continue with a new action
Yeah.
plan.
And I was feeling good.
That's the key.
So the whole thing really,
Yes.
I was £30 lighter.
So it wasn't difficult to stick with it because you were feeling good.
Yeah.
Right, so and that's the thing, a lot of people don't do a change, you know, nutrition, fitness, long enough to sense that feeling of feeling good from having done it.
Yeah.
They'll do it for like 2 weeks, that's not long enough to
Oh,
experience it.
absolutely.
And that's where you differ from a lot of people who have tried lots of things, is that it's not the strategy necessarily, although that is important, it's more about time. You were curious to see, and that curiosity led you to all the benefits.
Yeah. And now I am actually really quite interested in people that don't drink, because and like I said, that's just something that's come off the back of it, because you can tell that they feel like I do about it.
Sure.
They've got an energy that, because they're excited about the fact that they've done
proud
it.
of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not giving anything up. They've gained so much.
Ah, and there you go.
And
There's
so
another
that's-
golden nugget, Terri. So this is it. So when you stop feeling like you're losing something, and there's a loss, and you start perceiving that actually there's a gain from a change in behaviour, that's when you transform.
Yeah.
That's the point where you pivot from one thing to another. And instead of looking back, you start looking forward.
Yeah.
And that's what you did. So here we go. This transformation in Terri didn't just happen because by chance. Her mindset shifted to allow for the new to come in. Yeah. And it did.
Yeah. Well, I remember being on boot camp and we had to do that visualisation. It was, were you going to get where you were going or something?
Yeah, it was
like
the runway.
Yeah, and I knew that I was going to get there, and I said, didn't I?
You did.
I'm going to...
I now know I'm going to arrive.
Yeah.
I said,
Yeah, and that was in my second boot camp.
It was, yeah.
Because I don't think I took all the mindset side on the first time around, because you do, it is a lot. Looking back now, it's easy, but I was learning.
You're becoming somebody new, essentially.
Yeah.
And that, an 8 or 10 week process is probably not enough time. No. You're just grasping concepts over that time.
I took a lot more on the second time around, because I was probably concentrating more on the nutrition to start with.
Sure.
Trying to get that
right. The practicalities have to be nailed, don't they? Yeah. So. And you didn't find that easy either? Right?
No, I mean,
she's covering her eyes.
I was just rubbish. I was rubbish at it to start with, or I thought I was. I was just thought, I'm never going to get this, but it was, because you've got the calories and the macros. I'd done calories, but I'd never done the macros. So, and I was one of those people that thought I ate healthily, which I think I did, because I am still eating what I was eating. My meals were okay. It was just that I can now tweak them to make sure I've got the protein and that I'm eating certain fats. I've enhanced it, and all the things like cheese on toast, I wouldn't even consider having it. Doesn't mean to say I don't like it now and again.
Yeah.
But I actually don't get as much out of it because it doesn't fill me up for long enough.
You know, we said we'd talk about this, how a lot of people perceive tracking calories and macronutrients as something that is a hassle and might be compulsive or obsessive.
And sometimes they don't want to.
Or they just don't want to know what they're really eating because they don't want to face the truth behind that. Of course, that's another thing. But then your perspective on this is that it gives you massive amounts of freedom.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you? It's another thing like the alcohol. Because I did the first year, I think I ate the same the whole time, chicken and leeks and whatever. And then the next year I might have had something different, and then I started eating what the family were eating because I found it easier to be able to adjust the things, because to start with I couldn't. No. If my numbers changed, I'd go off in a spin.
Yeah. So now you eat with your family.
Yeah.
You make tiny tweaks to your meal.
Yeah. Well, I don't really have to.
You don't have to.
No.
Because I guess you're putting that meal. You know what you're eating, so you're putting that meal in.
Yeah.
You're still tracking.
Yeah.
After 4
all
years.
All the time. Yeah.
Because then you know that.
Well, I can eat all the food that I'm eating enough.
That you're eating enough.
Yeah.
And this is a massively overlooked thing.
Yeah.
So muscles have requirements to remain healthy, and one of those requirements is not only weight training but to have enough energy in the body to be sustained. So
because I think of it as a fuel.
Yeah.
And so I don't want it not to be enough. So I probably track more to make sure I eat enough, because it's easy not to sometimes when you're on reasonably high calories for me.
Yes.
1800. You know, there's a lot of scope in. There's a lot of. It can be a lot of food if it's completely green. If you're eating quite what's called like whole food type foods, then it becomes quite a huge volume of food, 1800 calories. Whereas, as you say, if you're eating cheese on toast, 1800 calories would not be a lot of food. When I was on even higher calories, I mean, I've had some people say to me, but I can't eat all the food. But I would eat all the food.
Why?
Because I don't know if it's going to work if I'm not doing it. So I can't expect to see a result. Well, why didn't that happen this week? Is it because I wasn't doing it? But I know I was doing it. Yeah. So you can then be sure of where you're going.
You've done everything it took.
Yeah, I know what I've done.
Yeah.
And so I know I've done it right. And so because if I'm not doing it right, I don't know. Am I building muscle? Is there a possibility? Yeah. Isn't there? Yeah. You just don't know. And I wanted to know that I've done my bit, and we'll see where the rest of it goes.
And this is a wonderful message, that you've got to eat to get the body you want. So if you want a body that is not only healthy on the inside but also a physique that to match, it's about consistently eating enough.
Yeah. And so it was a lot of, when I was on over 2,000 calories, it is a lot of food. Yeah. But I did eat it.
And the irony of that is the people that are overweight that come to us and say, I'm too full, I can't eat it all, they were actually eating more calories before they started with us than what we're asking them to eat. Yeah. Because otherwise they would never have gained all that weight in the first place. No. So that really makes me cringe when people say that, because I know they were eating probably about 3,000 calories a day before.
Yeah.
But it's the change in what you're eating that makes you feel full.
And also we're all conditioned, aren't we, to... Because it is scary. It is scary because you're conditioned to think, well, I'm on this diet now and I've got to have these low calories and I can't be full all the time. I've got to be...
Yeah, sure. If you're full, you don't feel like you're progressing. You feel like you should be hungry to progress.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's all the head stuff.
It is.
Yeah.
Because, you've just... I mean, I weigh myself every week, but I've sort of learned not to... It's just a process I go through, and I measure myself every week. But nothing's going to happen immediately. Nothing's going to... I'm not going to go gaining loads of weight that I've got to worry about overnight. So I'm not going to worry about if I've gained weight. I'm hoping it's muscle. Do you know what I mean?
So anxiety about your physique these days, do you have any worries?
No. In fact, the tracking of my food, if people say that it's difficult, it is to start, but it takes nothing. I've got scales, I put my bowl on, I pour my porridge into it. So I could have that bowl on the side, or I can have it on the scales. I've still got to pour the porridge into it. It's like, I get my fruit out of the freezer and I put it into the bowl that's on the scales. I just do everything like that.
Sure, you still got to pour it in the bowl.
Yeah, it's no different. So
yeah.
And then I know.
What you mean is in your food diary where you track, you've got it all saved, so you don't even have to enter it. You just go, oh, it's that.
And sometimes it has to be entered because it'll be a new thing that we're doing.
Yeah. But I think a lot of people are coming round to that idea, because I have conversations with a lot of people over 40 these days, and it seems to be a common theme now that it seems to be in everyone's consciousness that they are realising.
Yeah.
The midlife is the point at which you make a decision about how you want to move into that second half.
Yeah. So yeah, I think, and also because you can do the nutrition, I can eat what I want. Because I enjoy my food so much, so it had to work. I look forward to everything that I eat.
Yeah,
I enjoy
fantastic.
it.
Yeah.
I just know that I'm the best I can be.
Yeah. And that's what motivates, pulls you forward.
That keeps me going.
Yeah.
Because
so you're not looking back and going, missing out.
Goodness,
no. Every day it's just, I feel good about feeling good.
Yeah. Yeah. It does make me feel so good. That's why I'm so...
What do you think are the main things then that you have kept you going this long? Because it's unfortunately rare that somebody sticks with something so long that they get results like you have.
Well, it's just my way of life. That's it. I think having lost my parents, being an older mum, I just think I've got to do my best to be around for children that have got extra needs as well. I just want to be my best for as long as I can be.
Yeah.
And that's really made me think, it does make you think that you've just got to look after your health. Enthusiastic about TeamYo.
Yes, because you are a super fan.
Yeah.
You're a super fan.
It's like taking a magic pill. But it is, it's just been such...
If you do it, it works.
Yeah, that's what I say. You've got to do it.
You've got to do it. Yeah, and not for 2 weeks.
No, and it might seem like it's hard work, but it's not really.
No, it's no harder. In fact, it's less hard than feeling like rubbish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate the think of not knowing. It has made me relax so much more that all the other stuff that comes, life, you mean? Yeah.
Life stuff, yeah.
The drama that goes on in my life, I can it's another thing. But I feel stable in myself. And that's because it is drama in my life, and like you say, upset and everything from, your parents going and things like that. And it's my stability thing.
Yeah.
Keeping going is my thing.
Because you're in charge of yourself, right? And knowing that you are does stabilise you. Because then, as you say, as other things come in, you can manage that.
I don't have to sit and eat a packet of biscuits.
Sure.
I don't have to have a glass of wine.
No.
I could.
You're just okay.
But I don't choose to.
Yeah.
So.
And that's a big deal.
Yeah.
And then finally, Terri, words of wisdom. All those lovely ladies out there that want some help, that are over 40, what are your top tips?
Well, 1, do it. You've got to do it. And 2, really the thing, I think I said to you, the thing that you've got to nail is how to maintain. I think if you can do that, if you can work your food diary and not think of it as think of it as liberation
As a
rather than
self-care thing, yeah.
and think, oh look, I've got to eat this. I've got to, not that I can't eat. It's what and eat it, relax about it, and put it all in your food diary, because you do not know. And then normal, every day-to-day stuff, always put it in your diary, because it takes seconds. I can fill my diary out in a matter of seconds, and then think, oh, today I might have that. I have chocolate every day.
Like you're saying, if you're less affected by stress and life, then there's space for you inside of that. It's when we're like a bag in the wind that there's no time.
Yeah.
And
you're running around.
Yeah.
Not actually achieving anything.
Yeah, exactly. There's hemorrhaging energy everywhere. Then you feel like you don't have time.
Whereas you can actually just take a breath and know that all what you're eating and everything is all okay.
Like people say, I haven't got time to prep, but actually prep saves time.
Yeah.
Lots
and it doesn't
of time.
take me very long.
No, it doesn't. And you've talked a lot about nutrition, so I think you really feel like, in terms of weight training and nutrition, the weight training just ticks over.
Yeah.
But the nutrition's the one that people
that's
really
the one you've got to, because you want to support. I look at it as supporting my weight training. Yeah. And so you can't really have one without the other.
No, you've got to. Your nutrition's a massive part of your muscle health.
Yeah. So, and I've learnt that over the time. So it does take. You've got to put the effort into learning that. Yeah. And it wasn't overnight for me, but it is easy. But it's not easy at the beginning, and that's fine.
So Terri, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
It's so many words of wisdom there.
I think everybody needs to do it. Whether they're wanting to lose weight, put on weight, whatever.
Recomposition.
Everybody.
When you are the queen of recomposition, and without you, I don't know how I'd help people to understand what it is actually.
Yeah.
So your body's like a walking explanation of how you do it. It's possible, and that it's possible actually in midlife as well, which is incredible. Yeah. Because a lot of people think that there's no hope.
Well, I'm amazed. I'm amazed. I really am. So that's why I don't want to go back. I'm quite happy where I am.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you so much. I'll get you back on another day to talk about HRT because we haven't covered that, and actually that's part of your story. Yeah. So we'll talk about that another day, because that's this whole session in itself. Yeah. And I'm sure people will be interested to hear what you did there. So thank you so much again.
You're welcome.
And we'll catch up with Terri again at some other point.